Focused on various components of the interest rate increase that was announced today. So let's shift our attention to the impact of the higher interest rates on the property industry, specifically on buyers, sellers and renters, with Century 21 South Africa CEO Harry Nicolaides. Harry, thank you very much for your time this evening. And let's start with that point, the immediate implication for a buyer, a seller or a renter in the property industry of this 50 basis points hike that we saw today.
Hi, Rufu. Good evening to you and good evening to your listeners. No doubt the height in the interest rate hike will have an effect on buyers, and it's mainly about affordability. You know, especially for first-time home buyers who were about to enter the market. Now with the interest rate going up, it's going to affect their affordability, because high interest rates means higher monthly bond repayments. So it will keep them out of the market for a while, and they'll probably stay where they are now, or rent or carry on renting. And also for existing homeowners who desire to upgrade their homes, they would also be probably forced to stay exactly where they are now. So the overall impact is not good for property sales, and it does remove potential buyers from the market.
Yeah, it is.
There is a little bit of good.
Oh, please continue, Harry.
There is a little bit of good news in that because there'd be a decrease in the property sales market, house prices tend to drop as well. So buyers who can afford to pay, have got substantial deposits, now would be the time for them to enter the market and buy. And this is what we call a buyer's market.
So we might have a buyer's market, which is great for those who might have some money in the form of a deposit. But are you finding in the current market and all the things that you've just described, that instead of perhaps renting their property or choosing to stay in their current property, that owners are also perhaps downsizing and looking for smaller properties just so that they're able to manage costs? Or is this a trend that hasn't really come about?
Well, it's not a trend that's taken effect yet. Remember, people who are selling and wanting to get into the rental market now, they're also finding it challenging, because there's not so many buyers out there now, and people are choosing to rent. The rental market is very active, and now this would benefit landlords, because they've got a waiting list of tenants. So the upward pressure on the rent, the upward cost of renting a property also goes up in a high interest rate environment. The question about sellers downgrading, they are affected by the reduced pool of buyers, and ultimately it will, as I said before, result in them perhaps reducing the price or becoming more negotiable on their price when they're dealing with prospective purchasers. So even the rental market does go up in a high interest rate environment.
Yeah. With the buyer's market, Harry, are you finding that there are first-time potential homeowners who are looking around? They might not have big deposits for that home, but they want to take advantage of the current climate, as you've just described it as a buyer's market. Are you finding that being taken up at the moment, or are you seeing that rather leaning towards the rental market as you just described?
Yeah, look, there's a wonderful yin and yang on the property market, so and which affects buyers. So when interest rates go up, home prices go down, and therefore they may then actually afford to buy the property, and vice versa. When interest rates go down, home prices go up, but because interest rates are down, there would be transactions. So I think it's still a bit too early to determine an exact pattern of people selling property to rent. But what is apparent is a decrease in property sales at this point in time for first-time home buyers, because of the bond affordability issues.
Yeah, and then maybe if you could just indulge us on the global trends, Harry. Century 21 is a global current company, and I'm sure you've seen some trends that might be interesting for us down here in South Africa. What is the property industry doing in those parts of the world where we're seeing interest rates increasing as well?
So, Rafiwe, I just got off an international conference now with global franchisees from all around the world in the Century 21 group. And this is a global phenomenon. So you've got property sales activity in countries like the USA, Europe, Australia, where they're all witnessing a decline in property sales activity, and chiefly because their interest rates have also gone up. And actually, to put our problem into perspective, we've seen 10 increases in the interest rate for the last meetings, but we're not as bad as what the USA and perhaps the UK is, where they've seen in a quantum factor their interest rates going up 5 times. So where the interest rate in the USA, for example, was 2% or 3%, they're sitting now at 10% and 11%. And same with the UK, where they were at 3%, they're sitting now at over 10%. From a quantum perspective, their interest rates have quadrupled. It's not as bad as that here in South Africa, but obviously in South Africa we've got all our other unique issues, which affects the cost of living and therefore buying power, and those are well known. Those are our energy crisis, our Eskom crisis, our water crisis, etc., etc. So we've got unique factors in South Africa which compounds the effects of cost of living and therefore buying power and bond affordability when it comes to the property sales market.
Thank you very much for those insights, Harry. It's good to know, as unfortunate as it is, that South Africa is not the only one suffering from the tough times that we are living in. That is Harry Nicolaides. He's the Century 21 South Africa CEO, talking us through the impact of the interest rates on the property industry and the trends that are impacting buyers, sellers and renters at the moment. With that,